Steve Spurrier chirping and hasn't coached the Gators for 23 years. What the H?
What the? What was he thinking?
Release the hounds.
The Dave Hooker Show.
Keep cool.
A presentation of OffTheHookSports.com.
What did Steve Spurrier have to say about the Tennessee-Florida game?
And by the way, Steve Spurrier said this right after on a podcast with Pat Dooley, and I think it was right after Pat Dooley was talking to us.
It was. That didn't work out well for us.
Yes, not at all. But Steve Spurrier said that, quote, "We're in only Steve Spurrier fashion. We're certainly capable of beating Tennessee. If Arkansas can beat them, we can beat them." And only he just had to throw a little shot there with the Arkansas thing.
Okay, a couple of things. Steve Spurrier, and I'm going to put this on the poll question, is entertaining or irritating? I'll ask you that question first, Caleb.
Oh, he's entertaining. He's always been entertaining. I'm going to say this to you, Tennessee fans, and I get it. I grew up a Tennessee fan too. I was younger at the time, but I'll admit it was irritating at the time. But the reason it was irritating, guys, be honest, you were mad. Like we were mad at ourselves. Tennessee was mad at themselves because Spurrier would needle Tennessee, and Tennessee didn't have a coaching staff smart enough to shut him up. And truth be told, he needled Tennessee because he knew he could. And Steve Spurrier, the reason he's so irritating, you want to know the real truth, Dave? Where there's all these people trying to break down the nuances of football, they're doing this or that or this or that. Spurrier is the one that just simplifies it for you and says, it ain't that complicated. They did this, and that's why this team did this. Like one time, South Carolina won a game I'll never forget, and he was asked at the end of the game, like, "What did your team do to win this game?" He's like, "Well, we didn't do anything. Their kicker missed a field goal. That's how we won." I mean, that's Spurrier at his best.
So Steve Spurrier's entertaining with about 60% of the vote, irritating 40% of the vote. I think that if you're back in those former days when he would call up columnists and give them exclusive interviews, that would be very veiled shots at Tennessee's football program. Like, you know what I like that Pat Summit? She wins championships. Yep, she wins championships. And
is this Steve Spurrier, Johnny Majors crossover?
No, I think I just do Steve Spurrier well. I don't think I do.
That was a major. Well. That was somehow you doing majors. You got to slow it up a little bit.
I'm telling you about them Gators. Gators, they're pretty good when they're playing a team in orange. And I'll tell you what, Arkansas can beat that team. So can the mighty Gators. That to me was irritating if you're a Tennessee fan, because he's going out of his way to call columnists in other towns like John Adams and give them some fodder to get underneath the opposing coach's skin. I mean, that to me has got to be irritating, because no reporter in their right mind is not going to take the interview, even though you're playing to the narrative to some case. Also, the irritating thing has to be this. For those of you that don't know, he has a bit of an upscale sports bar there in the Gainesville area. And he has coasters that say Peyton Manning 3-time Citrus Bowl MVP, and that say you can't spell Citrus Bowl without a U and a T. So that to me, I mean, 20 years after the fact, I've got to consider that irritating if you're a Tennessee fan, and I don't blame you. But the other side of that, the last time I spoke to Steve Spurrier was at SEC Media Days several years back. And do you remember the, what was it? The AFL, whatever that.
Oh, yeah, that he coached in like 2018 or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So you ask him about the SEC. He goes, well, yeah, SEC's pretty good this year. But I don't want to tell you this. The Apollos, undefeated, 8-0. So I think that makes us championship winners of the AFL. And I got that trophy. And, still waiting on our wings. And the league went under. They didn't finish the year. That's how competitive he is. I mean, he is competitive-wise Michael Jordan with a Southern accent that happens to be a little bit older. I mean, their competitive drive is the same. He doesn't allow, did you know this? He doesn't allow anybody to cheat on the golf course. I'm talking about little things, and I don't know the golf nuances, and you're not a golfer either, but there are little nuances that you could do that are kind of sort of considered cheating, but it is a gentleman's game, and you're not supposed to do those things, right? But he will say to people, he goes, well, that's okay. Yeah, but we're not playing golf. We're playing something else. But if you want to do that, go ahead. But we're not playing golf. I mean, that's how he is. So, by the way, I just heard a crazy story. I believe it was Eric Lindros told this about how they played 42 holes, which would be 3 rounds of 18. And I believe it was Eric Lindros who said that he beat him, and Jordan, they were gambling the whole time, and Jordan had lost. And Jordan said, well, I'll tell you what, you got a game tonight. Now, this is the day of the game, Caleb. And he said, I guarantee you, they're drinking beer the whole day. So they went through a case easy. Day of the game. And said, I guarantee you that the Bulls win by 20 tonight, and I score 40. And if so, I get my money back. And they won by 28. He scored 46.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
I mean, that's Steve Spurrier to a T.
That's technically Jordan bet. I mean, we believe it, but I mean, so what you're saying is it's clear he bet on his team and himself, which is illegal in the NBA.
Well, technically he did, according to that story. I guess I hadn't thought of it that way. But he, Steve Spurrier, if somebody would have told him that you're not going to be able to beat this Tennessee defense by more than 30 points, it would have motivated him to go out there and hang a 40-50 spot on the Vols. Yeah, I have no doubt that that's the case. Would you argue that?
No, I actually, I don't disagree with you at all. He would do that. And so I think part of this is people say he takes it personal that like Tennessee, that he didn't go to Tennessee when he was from there in the 60s. I don't think it's that case. I don't think he takes it personal because, I mean, Dave, you could tell me, but Tennessee didn't run an offense that was a fit for him, and he kind of agreed with that, right? It was kind of mutual, wasn't it, in the 60s? And so I asked this question. This is a funny one because I'm going to get to my favorite Spurrier quote of all time. And there's 2, and then you can give me yours. But before that, one deals with Fulmer's firing in 2008. So before I get to it, is there any chance in hell Tennessee could have gotten away with taking a shot on maybe trying to hire Spurrier away from South Carolina in 2008? And would he have taken it to go to Tennessee?
No, you said earlier that it was kind of mutual in his high school recruitment. No, he expected them to flip the whole offense to his liking. I mean, and when they didn't, well, at least they didn't lie to him like Troy Aikman in Oklahoma and Drunken Barry Switzer. Rick Terry Jewelry Design, they want to be your jeweler. Looking for affordable game day jewelry? How about the Fire Opals, a Tennessee tradition? RickTerryJewelry.com. They bring you the Grade 8 Garmin Challenge. You can win a Garmin if you're a free member of Hooker's Corner. We'll drop that in the message board. And you're a subscriber to this station. So we're at 8,000 subscribers. Boom. There we go. Time for 5 Gators to watch. Yes?
Are we still not on this topic?
No, we can stay on this topic. What do you got?
So what I was going to say was, I was going to ask you to give me what you thought the funniest quote you ever got from Spurrier was.
I mean, it had to be the Apollos thing. I mean, to me, you're bringing that up in the middle of SEC Media Days that you won a semi-pro football league that just got canceled and the year wasn't even up yet.
Okay, fair.
I was really so taken aback I didn't have a follow-up question. And that never happens with me.
So mine was actually, I don't think he meant to, but he poured salt on the wound on Fulmer when Fulmer was fired. I don't know if he did it on purpose, but I think he and Fulmer were friendly at that point. So Dave, do you remember this quote? When Fulmer got fired in 2008, Spurrier said, he's a good guy. I talked to him before the game, the Tennessee-South Carolina game. And he goes, not about that, but we talked. We never talked before the game when I was at Florida. We're a little more friendlier here because we can't score 50 on anybody. So we don't have many people mad at us. And then he said, some people will say it's sad that he couldn't go out on his own terms. But if you retire, you don't hit the lottery. You could say he hit the lottery after getting that contract extension. Now he gets the money and he doesn't have to go through any more crap, everybody after him.
Do you remember Uncle Dave's story? You ready?
Love it. Let's go.
Okay. So when he got fired by the Washington Redskins, this is back when practice was open, and we're watching practice in the spring. Okay. So it's spring practice. So it's kind of still open now. But anyway, we're watching practice in the spring, and we see this guy sitting all by himself several rows over. And somebody goes, I think that's Spurrier. This is in Neyland Stadium. Okay. So me being the guy that I typically am, what do you think I did, Caleb? Knowing that Jimmy Hyams and John Wilkerson were at that very moment on the air at Sports Talk. What do you think I did with a cell phone in my pocket?
Did you have a camera phone at the time? Did you take a picture?
No. I did worse than that. I mean, I went up to him. He didn't know who I was. This is the early 2000s. When did he get fired from Washington?
2003, and it's kind of debatable if he got fired or if he just realized his style and system wouldn't work in the NFL.
Well, regardless, he needed to go because Patrick Ramsey still has, flinches at night because he got the hell beat out of him. But I went up to him and I said, hey, Steve, because I've never called anybody a coach except for Johnny Majors for whatever reason, because when I was a kid, he was Tennessee's coach. So they're not my coach. I don't go up to Josh Heupel and say, hey, coach. I mean, I think it sounds weird. But anyway, so I said, hey, Steve, I was wondering if you had a second. I would like to get you on the radio. And I think you know who I'm talking about. It's Jimmy Hyams. And he goes, Jimmy Hyams. And then he used another term, a female term, that you may know or do you know what I'm referring to?
Is it a bad word?
Starts with an H. Yeah, it's not a bad word, but he goes, he tried to act like he didn't know who Jimmy was, like he was trying to be funny. I'm not sure I know who he is. Well, of course he knew who Jimmy was. He just didn't want to be on the radio in Knoxville. That's a true story.
He comes from he comes from a religious family, and he just.
Well, technically, I guess that would have been a medical term, so he didn't see it as a problem.
Okay,
but it was surreal and bizarre.
Was he needling Tennessee with the whole they can lose to Arkansas, or was he just giving his honest opinion?
I think he was. I think that he was trying to root on Billy Napier, because I believe that he wants every coach to work out. I think he flushes it when they don't, and he's not overly adherent to them. But I think he really, more so than make a change, I think he would want Billy Napier to work it out. That's what I think his motivation is. And I think he knows better in his heart of hearts.
But yeah, he seems like he's very nice to coaches. I agree. Of course, Steve Spurrier himself, when things aren't working, he just resigns mid-season like he did at South Carolina. He's like, I'm tired of losing. I don't need this. I'm out.
Who needs this crap?